So in Luke 20, there's this moment where the disciples, it's the Sunday, it's the resurrection. The disciples are all together, and here comes Mary Magdalene, right? And the crew of women coming in with the announcement of the resurrection. They're announcing the resurrection. They're announcing Jesus has done what he said he's going to do. And it says that, and the disciples say, and the apostles, that's the apostles, they say, we don't believe you. We don't believe what you're saying. And they say this sounds like nonsense. Like, this doesn't make any sense, which is, and I was saying in the mess, I was like, to me, that's actually that's more bizarre than saying that Jesus has been resurrected, because Jesus had told them all along that this is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to die and be resurrected. And it was prophesied in the Old Testament, and then he brought it to fruition under his name and in his covenant. And so for them to say, like, Jesus is resurrected is like, he actually did what he said he's going to do. And they think it's nonsense. And they think what the women are talking about is gibberish, but what's more nonsense is the fact that they weren't believing, that they were in such a place of doubt. So we find the disciples in this moment. And I was articulating that they're in this day where, like, Jesus predicted these things, he's died, and on the Saturday they enter into this place of doubt. They're just really doubting what's been going on. They're doubting Jesus, who he was, what's been going on. They go to this place of doubt and fear. They go to this place of doubt and fear. And so they return to what's familiar. They return to what's known, what's familiar. So a bunch of them return to their trade. And they go back to what's familiar out of fear and doubt. They don't know that on the Sunday they're about to come out of it. They're about to come on the other side of it when Jesus is resurrected. And he's about to usher in his new covenant and all these promises that he had said, all these guarantees he had said he was about to deliver on. He was about to deliver what he said. So they find themselves on the Saturday. And I was saying this the other day, I was saying to this crew that kind of spontaneously, but it really stuck, that, like, I think right now in the season we're in, we're on Saturday. We're living in a Saturday. We should just call this message that. We're living in a Saturday. Like, so much has happened. That's Friday. Now we're living in the Saturday. We haven't come out on the other side of it, which would be our Sunday. So we're living on a Saturday. Is anyone with me? That we're living in a Saturday. So we haven't seen what's on the other side of this thing. We're just living in Saturday. So all we see is fear and doubt, and we don't know what's coming out. We don't know what's coming next week. We don't know what's coming in June. Everyone, when they talk about June or the summer or the fall, everyone has a different story. No one knows. No one knows. It's like everyone just has their best hypothesis, their best prediction, their best forecast, but nobody knows. That's Sunday. We don't know when we're going to come out on the other side of some stuff. We're living on our Saturday. So when I examine the disciples, they're on their Saturday. After Friday, they're just doubting. The question isn't, could Jesus deliver? Jesus was in the process of delivering. He was in the process of doing what he said he was going to do. I think what's interesting, and I think what we should evaluate, is the disciples' response, not Jesus's work. The disciples went to a place of doubt while Jesus was at work. I think when we find ourselves on a Saturday, the question, we should not, this is how I really strongly feel. A lot of people questioning God, what you doing, where you at? I feel like, I wonder if we should question ourselves. I feel like we should question ourselves, because the disciples went into a place of doubt when Jesus is delivering on his promises. But, and like, sometimes we need to question ourselves, like, how am I responding on my Saturday? Like, it's Saturday. It's Saturday. And some of you are like, it's not Saturday, it's Thursday. Don't mess with me. This is Saturday. We're waiting for Sunday. We're waiting to come out on the other side of this thing. But on our Saturday, I think we need to evaluate ourselves. Hey, how am I processing this? And how am I responding? And how am I living in my Saturday? I wish the disciples would have said, let's stand on the promises of God on Saturday, so that when we come out on the other side of it, we can worship from this place of victory. But instead they went to a place of doubt. And I feel like as I think through that story and I apply it to today, I'm like, man, we living in Saturday. How am I living in my Saturday? Come on, is this resonating with anyone? That we're living in a Saturday. So we don't know when our Sunday's coming. We don't know when we're coming out on the other side of some stuff. So all I can do is I can only live in Saturday. I can only operate right now. So the question I have to ask myself, and the question I would love for you to ask yourself, how am I going to respond and live on my Saturday? The disciples stopped worshiping on their Saturday. Their worship resumed after they got on the other side of it. I don't want to be like that. I am like that, but I don't want to be like that. I still want to worship on my Saturday, even though I don't get it, even though I have questions, even though I don't understand things. We look at it and people have all these doubts, like, how come God's not doing this? Or how come God would allow this? I think that's the biggest question. Why would God allow this? I actually think that question's interesting because I don't think COVID's the worst thing our world has seen. It's just in the media, so it has your attention. No one's talking about the other numbers. The fact that more people died today of poverty and malnutrition and not having food than people died of COVID. Ain't no one want to talk about that because it ain't hot. No one wants to talk about people getting trafficked. There's more people trafficked than there is in COVID. COVID just has your attention because the media puts it on your attention, but there's more people dying because of other things. It's not our only problem. But I'm gonna get on somebody, but it affects the Western world, so it's become our problem. So the question is, not just God, not just COVID, not just being isolated, not just that I don't have my luxuries like my barber, but God, why are all these evil things happening? Why are these evil things happening? And I wanted just to help us with that in this, but I doubt part 2, because people have been asking that, and there's this doctrine called the Doctrine of Original Sin. And I want to elevate your theology if I can, because I think it's going to help you. The Doctrine of Original Sin is this idea that in the garden with Adam and Eve, the moment that sin first entered the world, and sin we always talk about being an action, like it's something I do, and that might be the case, but sin is simply this separation from God. Original sin is the moment that separation happened, when Adam and Eve made the decision to eat of this fruit that God said, hey, don't eat in that, don't have any of that. And they do, and it causes this great divide. Well, in that moment is original sin, and what happens in that moment is it ushers in brokenness and it ushers in death. Death was not a thing until original sin, until sin came in. And then what happens is, Ken always uses the word like toxic. This toxicity of sin comes into our world, and that's why we see the things that we see. That's why we see greed, and that's why we see people being trafficked, and that's why we see war, and that's why we see terrible things. It's because sin has brought in this toxic, sinful brokenness. And so when we say we're born into a sinful world, we're not saying like we're not saying like a newborn sinful. What we're saying is we're actually born into a world that's been separated from God. And the gospel of Jesus is the fact that Jesus has come to bridge that, right? So original sin has been bridged. Original sin has been brought into harmony and reconciliation. But then there's this phrase that it's here and not yet. I'm going to elevate your theology tonight. It's this idea that it's here and not yet. So yes, we're on the other side of the resurrection. So it's here, but it's not yet because we're not in the book of Revelation yet. That's forecast, that's foretelling, that's prophetic, that's what's to come, but it's not here yet. So we're here, but not yet. And so God has bridged it so that you and I, if we make a decision, if anyone says yes, can cross that bridge and we start entering into this relationship with God. But on a global level, God is still working it out. That's not my problem. That's God's problem. So it's not hard to unpack that for people. Because people are like, well, why is he still working it out? I'm like, ask him. It's his plan. And so he gave the vision to John. Hey, here's what's going to happen. And John records the book of Revelation. We know what's coming. So we can put our hope and our promises, and we can stand on what he said in the book of Revelation on what's to come. But we know from the moment we live in, was it April 30th or something, 2020, to the day that we see the book of Revelation fulfilled, we're in the process of seeing the kingdom of God come and his reconciliation come and his healing come, and we get to be participants in that. That's the reality. When we say yes to Jesus, not only do I get relationship with God, not only do I get saved, I now have a role to play. It's called the cause of Christ. Now I have a role to play in him bringing that hope and that goodness and that reconciliation to the world. It's here, but not quite yet, because we ain't living in Revelation times, the book of Revelation times. We're not all in heaven yet. So we're in that in between. We're post-resurrection, but we're not revelation. We're in that season in between. We're in that time in between. So original sin brought in brokenness. That's why we see things that are devastating and awful. And God's healing and working in those things. And he's active in those things, even when we don't see it. And we're keeping our vision on what's to come. The promises of what's to come, revelation. We're keeping our vision on those things. Because if God said it, I can stand on it. Put that in the chat. If God said it, I can stand on it. Because we're living on a Saturday. Isn't there a song, living on something? Living on a Saturday. Make a song out of it. But I thought it would be helpful living on a prayer. That's it. Thank you. Who was that? Pedro, thank you. But I thought it would be helpful if I brought a couple scriptures to remind us of the promises of God, even in our doubt. And it's okay to doubt. I'm not trying to say it's not good to doubt. I'm just trying to help you in your doubt. It's okay to doubt. It's okay to doubt God, his existence. It's okay to doubt his activeness. It's okay to doubt his character. I think he can handle it. Here's my challenge to you is when I say you're living on Saturday is how are you responding to your doubt? It's one thing to say, I'm going to doubt, so I'm going to get distant. It's another thing, I'm going to doubt, so I'm going to push in. I'm going to start to push into God. God, I'm doubting, so I need to spend more time with you because I'm asking for revelation. I'm asking for you to reveal some stuff because I have some doubt. Most people, when they go to a place of doubt, they go distant. I'm a ghost God. I'm going to start to move away. I don't even know if I can worship. I don't even know if I can pray. I definitely don't want to be in his word. I'm going to get distant. It's the worst thing we can do in our doubt. It's what Thomas did. It's what Thomas did, and that's why Thomas got a little bit left behind, and Jesus had to go get him. Left behind, if you want to review John 20, all the disciples are together, and Thomas rolls up on scene. And he's kind of like left behind a little bit because he's in his doubt. He's just kind of operating in his pity party. Oh, like Jesus ain't delivering on what he said he's going to deliver on. Thomas got a little bit left behind, but thank goodness Jesus loves people. Jesus went and found him, said, Thomas, I've been looking for you. This whole room is packed, but I'm coming for you because I see you in your doubt, and I want to help you in your doubt. So I'm not saying doubt's not good. Doubt's fine. Doubt is fine. You can doubt. We all doubt. You can doubt. It's what you do with your doubt. It's what you do with your doubt. You're going to get distant and ghost, or you're going to go for it. You're going to show up on Worship Wednesday and be like, I don't even know if I really want to be here, but I'm going to just put it over here. I'm going to just listen, and I'm going to worship. I'm going to push in. So it's not a matter of, am I allowed to doubt? Of course, you're going to. It's what you do on your Saturday in your doubt, because we're living in Saturday. So what are you going to do on your Saturday? Come on. What are you going to do on your Saturday? So I brought some scriptures. Psalm 34. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. How's your heart? Are you feeling a bit down? Are you feeling a bit discouraged? Are you feeling a bit frustrated? Guess what? God draws near. You know what's amazing about this verse? The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. I love that. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted. The Lord's close to you. Are you close to the Lord? Almost every scripture I'm about to read is all about how God's drawing near to you. The question is, are you drawing near to God? It's one thing for God to draw near. He says, hey, I'm drawing near to the brokenhearted, to the discouraged, to the down, to the out. I'm drawing near. I'm drawing near to the doubting. But are you drawing near to him? You're like, I'm not really sensing, I'm not really vibing with God right now. We know 100% by his character and by his promises, because of what he said, that you can stand on it, that God is close. It's a matter of how you living on your Saturday. You going to draw in, or are you going to dip out? Exodus 14, the Lord will fight for you. You only need to be still. Isn't that amazing? In our fight, he says, hey, in your fight, just be still. I got you. I'm going to fight it for you. Deuteronomy, the Lord himself goes before you and will be with you, and he will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid and do not be discouraged. A lot of you, a lot of us, a lot of our world, a lot of people discouraged, down, upset, sad, frustrated. It says, don't be discouraged and don't be afraid. I'm drawing near. I'm drawing near. Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid and do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Like I said, every verse is about God drawing near to you. God's always present to you. He's fighting your battles. He's coming with you. The question is, how are you living on your Saturday? Because on Jesus' Saturday, he was winning a victory for you. How are we living on our Saturday? I'm going to get started on Psalm 23. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I'll fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff to comfort me. Romans 8, and we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. Psalm 9, the Lord is a refuge for the oppressed, a stronghold in times of trouble. Those who know your name trust in you, for you, Lord, have never forsaken those who seek you. Come on, who's seeking him tonight? Psalm 107, then they cried to the Lord in their trouble, and he saved them from their distress. He brought them out of darkness, the utter darkness, and broke away their chains. Let them give thanks to the Lord for his unfailing love and his wonderful deeds. I pulled just a few scriptures really quickly, just to encourage you that the Lord is near. He's with you. He's present. He's present in this moment. You might not have all the emotions. I don't have the guitar going. I don't have a keyboardist with me going on keys. But if God said it, I can stand on it. And if he says he's going to be with me, I'm going to stand on that. If he says he's got me, I'm going to stand on that. In light of my doubt, in light of my, I don't know, I don't have all the answers. So why is this happening? I don't know. I have no idea. I can't answer that for you. But I know what I'm going to stand on because I know what's for sure. I'm going to stand on his promises. I know how I want to live on my Saturday. I don't always do it well. Every day, every morning I wake up, I got to do a little bit of a reset. God, we ain't out of this. We ain't on the other side of it. It's not Sunday yet. So I got to choose how I'm going to live on my Saturday. I'm going to choose to worship you. I'm going to choose to respond to you. I'm going to choose to acknowledge that you're near. And in the very first week that we did this big pivot, I dropped a message called The Power of Our Praise. It's on YouTube if you need to review it, but I was thinking about it because in the season that a lot of people are just struggling with their questions and their doubt, I don't want you to lose sight of the power of your praise, that in our worship and in our praise and in our time with God, in our pushing in, it's not, sometimes it ain't pretty. It don't need to be pretty, it's real. He doesn't ask for pretty, he just asks for authentic. That when I push in through my praise, that there's power in that. There's power for me too, that like it shifts my perspective. My praise shifts my perspective. My praise shifts my attitude and my outlook. And it reminds me that God's drawing near. And this is very real. Let me just close with a story. So COVID's happening. My home province of Alberta, Fort McMurray, there's a city that's totally flooded. It's like, why now? Why when everyone's already struggling? Why flood a city that got burned down only a few years ago, if you remember that in the news? Why one city get so hammered? All these other things going on globally. And then yesterday, my wife's mom, who's like my second mom, goes into hospital with stroke-like symptoms. She lives with an aneurysm that is attached right between her brain and her spinal cord, so it can't be removed. It can only be maintained. And she goes in, and she had an MRI last night, and on top of her aneurysm, they found a tumor. And we find that out, and there's no answers. We don't know what's going on. And I tell you right now, I went to God with it. I went to God with my frustration. There was some real talk going on. I said, God, why now? Why now? Why? And for those that don't know, if you follow me on social, you would have seen it at the start of 2020. Taya was really sick for 6 weeks. Really, really sick, in and out of hospital. That's how I started my 2020, 6 weeks with Taya. As soon as Taya got better, COVID hits. Then we're kind of just like trying to figure out COVID. And then my wife's mom, my second mom, goes in. She goes into hospital with an aneurysm already, 3 brain surgeries later, and now a tumor. It's like, what? That's not fair. That ain't right. We didn't ask for that. I didn't want that. Wasn't Taya being sick enough? Wasn't COVID enough? Now this? And people say like, People wonder about doubt. So I went to God. I said, God, it ain't fair. But the one thing I didn't do, and because I made a conscious decision in my brain and in my heart and in my spirit, I said, God, I don't get it. I don't like it either. I don't get it and I don't like it. It's all out of my control. I'm frustrated. But on my Saturday, I'm going to worship you and I'm going to stand on your promises. Because outside of your promises, I have nothing. I need your promises. So when you say you're drawing near, I need you to draw near. If you say you hear, I need you to show me. I need you to reveal yourself. We prayed for healing. We're praying for healing. Because God, you said you heal, so I'm going to stand on your promise. It's how I'm going to choose to live on my Saturday. I don't have to like what's going on. I'm not saying that, oh yeah, it's all good. I'm saying I don't like what's going on, but I'm taking that to God. God, it's all out of my control. I believe you're in control, so I'm going to stand on that. How are we going to live on our Saturday? And I wanted to tell you that story because I didn't want you to think I'm coming here, oh, look at Cat. He's good. He's good. He doesn't know what I'm going through. I want to tell you what I'm going through, what my 2020s look like. That it ain't pretty. It hasn't been fun. I'm not liking it. But I'm standing in my Saturday, trying to do my best in my worship, trying to do my best in my pursuit, and trying to do my best in my preach. So I can help you come with me to somewhere I think God wants to take us. So that's where I'm at. Where are you at? What number are you at? My hope is if you're a 5, let's get you to a 6. There's power in our praise. But I doubt. So in your doubt, I want you to know that the Lord draws near, that the Lord is with you, that he fights your battles, that he loves you, that you can stand on his promises. If he said it, you can stand on it. And it's okay to doubt. It's just how are you going to live in your doubt? How are you going to live in your Saturday? How are you going to live in your Saturday?